Shalom, now we're explaining the fourth sphera, which is chesed, loving kindness, that's in Zer Anpin. Okay, so we have the Zer Anpin, the small face, and inside of that, it's made up of the spheres, which is loving kindness and strength, right? Beauty, victory, splendor, foundation. So the chesed, which is the loving kindness. Um, so the Creator took out. He took the chesed, took the loving kindness from the chachma, which is the wisdom, which is above it in the straight line of the right hand side. It means the way it works is we have on top, right? We have on the right hand side is wisdom, on the left side is understanding, and below that in the middle is knowledge. Then lower down to the right is loving kindness, chesed, and then on the left is gvura, right? Gvura is strength. Below that in the middle is the tiferet, the beauty, right? So if you have up on top, on the right is chachma, which is wisdom, and right below that, in that same line, the right hand line, below that is chesed, right? You'd have in the middle line, and then on the left line, you'd have there's other sphere, there's three lines, okay? So the chesed, loving kindness, is called Kardanuta de Sihara, because the chesed, the loving kindness, gives strength and energy and strengthens the malchut. The malchut is the lowest sphere of kingdom, and the malchut, this kingdom, is called Sihara. It's like the moon, right? So, and the chesed, which is the fourth sphera, if you're counting, you have wisdom, understanding, knowledge. Those are three. And then the fourth one after that is chesed, loving kindness. So it's a fourth sphera. And it has four heads. The chesed has four heads. What are the four heads? They're the four attributes, the midot of the right. We have chesed, we have loving kindness, strength, tiferet. Now tiferet can be just the sphere of tiferet, or it could be all six, right? So if you do that, so you have chesed, gvura, tiferet, and then you have malchut, right? So those four, if you count them, loving kindness, strength, beauty, and kingdom, so those are four. So those four attributes are included inside of the loving kindness, right? And those are the four heads of the loving kindness. And it's the four heads of how you rule, how it actually applies, right? How it works, right? How it affects. So you have loving kindness, but then how it goes about the loving kindness, it has all the other spheres in it, right? Like you'd have strength of loving kindness, you have beauty of loving kindness, or compassion of loving kindness. How that's how it actually has effect in the world. And the wisdom, the chachma, it gives the chesed to the bina. So the chachma, the wisdom, gives the loving kindness to the understanding, and that means it impresses it. Etbale bekisufa de tehoma rabba. That means etba means to make an impression, like you take a ring and you stick it in wax, right? You're making an impression, right? And kisufa, that's desire, okay? So what it means is that the wisdom, it's impressed and put into the bina. He took the chesed, the wisdom took the loving kindness and impressed it into the understanding, and the understanding is called Tehom Rabbah, which means the great depths. Great depths. So that's the understanding, like you deeply understand, right? You greatly, deeply understand something. That's why it's called Tehoma Rabbah, great depths of understanding. And at the time of this desire, when the wisdom and has desire with the understanding in the secret of unifying, and so then the understanding is called the great depths, and the power of judgments is given to her, because the beginning of the revelation of judgments is in the understanding, and from it, that's where the judgments are first started. And there's no judgment above it, right? From it or above it, above the understanding, above the bina, there aren't any judgments. It starts from the understanding, and this is in why doesn't it have judgments above it, or even really at its own level. It's in order that the chesed, the loving kindness, will be included inside the judgment. That means you don't want to have judgments without loving kindness, right? That would be too harsh. So we put the chesed, loving kindness, put into bina, and that's where the judgments start. But it's already starting with the loving kindness put into it, and therefore it had to be like impressed into the depths of understanding. That's in order that it should receive the strength of the judgments, that the bina gets the judgments, because the understanding is like the place where the court, the ruling and judging court, the place where the court sits. That's in bina, in understanding. Like it says, there's a pasuk. It says, "Mishpatecha tehom rabba." Your judgments are great depth. That means that the 6 corners, which are called mishpat. Mishpat is, which means judgment, right? Those are hidden inside of the great depths, which is the bina. That means that the bina, the understanding, that the Bina doesn't actually, the Bina, the understanding, isn't actually judgment. It's not really judgment, the Bina. But the six corners, that means the six sefirot, those are working and doing the judgment by her, by the understanding, right? So the Bina itself is not actually enacting any judgments. It's the other sefirot, the six sefirot, the six corners. Those are enacting the judgments by the from the understanding. So here we have there's two letters, and these two letters are Dalid and Vav. Dalid is a fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's like a D. Vav is the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's like a line from top down. So a Dalid looks like a line on top and a line going down, right? This is a Dalid, and a Vav is just one line going down. So the Chesed, the Chachma is the wisdom. It made and it gave a flow of energy and put into the loving kindness, put into it these two letters, the Dalid and the Vav, because a Vav is the secret of the six lines of Zer Anpin, right? Vav is the sixth letter. So the sixth letter is corresponding to the six corners, which are the six sefirot, which are in the Zer Anpin, which is the small face. Zer Anpin is the six sefirot, right? And it's so this is the letter Vav. Now, why the letter Dalid? What's the letter, the fourth letter? That's Malchut. Okay. Why would Dalid be the kingdom, the Malchut? So if you count, first of all, it's a fourth letter. If you count the Tiferet, the beauty or the compassion, as altogether all the other spherots, so Malchut would come out fourth. But could also be Din, which is judgment. But we have the Dalid and the Vav, right? And they're both included. These two letters are included inside of the Chesed, because the wisdom put these two letters into the loving kindness. And these two are like written in and rooted into the ring of the king. The king has a ring on his finger, right? And he has this ring, and on this ring, there's engraved these two letters, the Dalid and the Vav. And this ring is what is this ring? It's the wisdom when it's filled with the Yud in it. Now, Chachma, which is wisdom, corresponds to the letter Yud. Yud is just like a point, just like a dot. So, and because wisdom is like the first thought, the first spark of inspiration, right? So you have the Chachma, and that's like a Yud. So now when you take this Yud of the wisdom, right? Um, that's like this ring. Okay, and why is the Chachma, the wisdom, why is it called a ring? Because includes it in it all the Chachma, Bina, Dat. Chachma is wisdom, Bina is understanding, and Dat is knowing. So the first thought actually includes all the expounding, the more explained thoughts, the wisdom, right? Then the knowledge. It's all included in the first thought of wisdom. So it includes them all, and that's why it's called a ring. And the secret of the ring is like this. The letter Yud, which is the 10th letter of the alphabet, is like this dot. So the Yud, this letter Yud of wisdom, it's a secret of the point that's inside the letter Bet of Bereshit. So when God created the world, it says in the beginning, the word in the beginning in Hebrew is Bereshit, in the beginning. And that word starts with the letter Bet. Bet is like a B. It's like the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And a Bet looks like a line on top, then it goes down, then a line across below. Okay? So it's like closed on three sides. Right? Now, a Bet, you can pronounce it Bet, or you can pronounce it Vet. Slightly different, it's the same letter. The difference is if you put a dot in the middle, it's Bet. If you don't have the dot in the middle, it's Vet. Right? So Bereshit is not Vereshit, it's Bereshit. That means it's a bet. This is what a bet looks like, like this. And it has a dot in the middle. So that would be a Yud in the middle of the bet of Bereshit, of the first word of the Torah, which means God created in the beginning. Right? And that's the Bina. Right? So Bina is understanding. Bina is a bet, is the letter Bet. So the understanding is like the letter Bet, and the Chachma is like the wisdom is like the dot in the middle of the letter Bet. Okay? So and the Bet of Bereshit is sealed with the Vav. Okay, so the Vav is a letter that's just a line going from a top down, just one line from top to bottom, right? And the Vav, this letter is the dot, is the knowledge, the knowing. Now when you take a Bet, right? You take the letter Bet. This is like a letter Bet, right? More or less. It's like a line on top, right? Line on top, a line going down, and then a line across, right? And then you take a Vav, which is one letter, one line going straight down, and let's say you put them together, you end up with like a box, right? You have three sides of a box, and the Vav makes a fourth side, and it's sealed. Okay, that's why it's called sealed. And let's not forget, we have in the middle we have a dot, that's the Yud. So when you have this combination, right? So it comes out to be like the letter of a mem, or a mem Okay, so the letter mem is like the English letter of M. It's the same sound, and it corresponds to the M. Now, but it looks, the mem has two ways to write it: in the beginning or the middle of a word, or in the end of the word. Now, in the end of the word, it looks like a box, like a sealed box. That's how you draw it, like a square. And it's at the end because it's like the end of the world, the word. When you have a word, when you have the end of the word, it's like the sealing, the seal, like when you write a letter and then you stamp it, like it's like the seal. So that's an M or a mem. The way the mem is written when it's not in the middle of the word, it's not completely sealed. There's like an opening, right? So, but the final mem is like a square, and you can make a mem out of taking a bet, which is 3-sided, and then a vav, which is 1 side, and you seal it as a box. So we have the vav, which is like the dot, and it makes a ring, which is like the final mem, or you can say like a samech. Samech is also a round letter. It's also completely sealed, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the mem, which is a box, okay? And it's closed, and the point is inside of it. So you took the bet, you took the vav, you took the yud, right, which is the bina. You have the knowledge. You have the bina is the understanding, right? So you have the dot in the middle would be the chachma. The bet, which is 3 sides of the box, is the understanding, and then you seal it, right, with the dot, the knowledge, and you have a box with a dot in it. So we say more. We say more than this. So the secret of this ring, okay, or the seal. So the seal is Chabad, Chachma Bina Dat. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. That's a seal, right? And it's like a seal of a ring, okay? And that's the letters Yud, Hey, Vav. Okay, Yud is the 10th letter, the dot, Hey is the 5th letter, and then Vav is the 6th letter. And if you take these 3 letters, you can rearrange them in 6 different ways. That's just mathematics. You can do Yud like it is, Yud, Hey, Vav. You can have Hey, Yud, Vav. You can have Vav, Hey, Yud. You can have Yud, Vav, Hey, right? You can have Vav, Hey, Yud. There's 6 different ways you can arrange these letters. So the 6 ways you can arrange these 3 letters, right? And inside of these 6 ways to arrange them, we seal the 6 corners, and the head of the first of these seals is Yud, Hey, Vav. That's straight, right? That means the way it's spelled without being rearranged, which is Yud and then Hey then Vav. So that's the Chesed, which is the first of the 6 Sfirot. And the other Sfirot, each one of the other 6 Sfirot of the 6 corners, right? Each one of them has a different arrangement of these 3 letters. But the first arrangement, which is the straight way of writing it in the original order, which is Yud Hey Vav, that's the loving kindness. And so therefore it's also the first, it's the head of them, and also therefore also the loving kindness is a circuit of a ring, okay, because it's sealed. It's a seal, and it's sealed. It's the seal of the sealing, right? And these 6 rings, which are the 6 corners, and the head of them, which is the loving kindness, includes all of them. The chesed, right, the head seal, which is the loving kindness, includes all the other seals, which are the other 6 sfirot and arrangements of these letters. And also in the chesed, in the loving kindness, it carries and includes 3 letters, Yud Hey Vav, in 6 different combinations, arrangements of ways to arrange these 3 letters. And after you rearrange these letters in it, then they are settling and resting, and the Creator, he put an enlightening, when kind of a light shining from the knowledge, from the knowing, from the dot, and he put it on the 4 aspects of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, and Malchut, the loving kindness, the strength, the beauty, and the kingdom, which are included in the Chesed, in the loving kindness. Because the dot, the knowing, is their root and their soul, right? And it's like their neshama. Neshama is like a soul. And he also puts on the loving kindness, which is the head of the 6 corners, he puts on the loving kindness, he puts on it the letter Aleph. Okay, Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet. It's like an A. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So he puts that letter on the chesed, on the loving kindness, which is Ima. Ima is mother. And it rides on this 4 Chayot HaMerkava Shela, the chariot, right? She has a chariot, and on the chariot there are 4 animals, right? Like in the vision of the prophet, where he saw a chariot and 4 animals on the 4 sides, right, of the chariot. So Ima, which is like mother, rides on the chariot, right? And these 4, well, I wouldn't say animals. It's not obviously it's not animals, but it's what it's talking about here is the Chesed, Gvur, Tiferet, and Malchut. The loving kindness, the strength, the beauty and compassion, and the kingdom of Zer Anpin, of the small face, which are included in Chesed, which are included inside of the loving kindness. So what we see here, there's, like we said, there's these different sphirot, right? We have Chesed, Gvura, loving kindness, right? And they can be arranged, right? Or they can be seen as like just from straight down, like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have them with 3 different lines. They're distributed to the right, left, and center. And if you put them together, they form like a constellation, like a face. There's different ways to include them, all 10 or just 7 or 6. There's different ways to see them, that they're arranged. But inside each one, it includes like all the other sphirot, right? So you have all these different combinations and aspects when you have something is including an inside something else, and then it's arranged. You have a lot of different ways these things are arranged, and that's basically explaining how the world works and functions, right? Because you don't have ever just one thing. You don't have something that happens and you have just loving kindness in it, right? It's always mixed with all these other things, and the way they're mixed together and arranged, that's how you get different scenarios happening. Or like a picture that you're painting, you don't use one color, right? You don't have just one of anything. It's always a mix of things, and it comes out to the entire world, and how the world is that sometimes there's more judgment in the air, right? Sometimes there's more loving kindness in the air, right? And we're obviously wanting to have more of the loving kindness, but you can't have just that, because then it's not a world. It would be like a blank white piece of paper kind of thing without anything on it, right? You have an artistic world. It's a mix, and that's how things are different. Okay, so tomorrow, God willing, we'll continue.